Hi everybody,
Hi,
Eric Fernar and my new Afrezza friend.
I'm Christy Kramers.
So, we put this video together tonight because we have yet another happy Afrezza user. And once again, Christy and I, before tonight, this is the first time we've ever met. And we just kind of, met on social media, started exchanging messages. And the one thing we have, well, there's a couple things we have in common. But number one is we're both diabetics.
Yep.
How long have you been a diabetic for?
I've been diabetic for 21 years.
Okay, and I'm 22 years, so, she was 9.
And he was 10.
I was 10. So we had a nice chit-chat before we started tonight, and we got to know a little about each other, and it's been awesome. So, we're both on this new insulin, Afrezza, and we both love it, It's small, it's discreet.
It's compact.
It works fast.
It's easy.
Tremendous benefits. Better benefits than doing shots or, with other standards of care that are out there today. Now, how long have you been on Afrezza?
I started Afrezza in September. Finally, after a fight with my insurance, I finally got medically approved for it.
Okay. And we're actually going to talk about, I got notes here, people, tonight. And that's the one thing I want to talk about is how much of a fight Christy had to go through to get on Afrezza. And why? So, not to call anybody out here, but I think doctors and insurance companies should realize the potential, especially when you hear about Christy's A1c reduction, mine, and many others that are on Afrezza. Each reduction, each point that you reduce your A1c has tremendous benefits, less damage to your kidneys, your liver, what have you, your eyes, diabetic neuropathy. So, Christy.
Yes.
Tell me about your before and your after A1c levels.
Okay, so when I first started Afrezza, I was at 8.2, which is pretty high. It's like an average blood sugar of 200. And after using Afrezza just for a few months, my blood sugar is down to, or my A1c is down to 6.5.
People, that is unbelievable. So 8.2 down to 6.5. That's the answer. Can you even see the answer out there, folks?
Yes, this is the answer right here.
It's just unbelievable. And, I was telling Christy earlier that I when I talk to people about Afrezza, I explain it like it's a cure. And it's not a cure, but it's the closest thing to a cure. I personally believe, and I don't speak for all diabetics, but between a Dexcom or a CGM and Afrezza. Now, we both have our Dexcoms.
We both have our Dexcoms.
And we're both on Afrezza. The two of them is just a 6.5. Keep in mind, A1c of just above 6.5 is considered pre-diabetic. So technically, if she went to her doctor's office and they didn't know she had diabetes, they would consider her a pre-diabetic, which is remarkable because she has type 1 diabetes. A 6.5
is amazing.
It's amazing. And we're talking, and it's a goal of mine, and I'm hoping to achieve it soon. I just sometimes, we're both busy, and I got things going on, so I can't put all my energy, all my energy towards this, but I do put a lot of my free time towards this. But we both want A1c, at least I do.
I want 1 of 5.
A 1 in the 5s. It's just, and I never even had that dream until I finally had the combination of Afrezza and my CGM. So I want to talk real quick and ask Christy about the fight she had. Now, I posted some pictures of the lung function test that Christy had to go through, the insurance, waiting for her results. Christy, can you elaborate, please, on how you had to fight for this life-saving, ultra-rapid insulin, please?
Well, when I first got diagnosed with diabetes, they obviously put me on Novolog insulin. And when I went to my doctor just this past summer, I had heard about Eric and I saw him on the news. And I wanted to get on Afrezza. So I asked my doctor, and he wrote the script, as any doctor would. But when it got to the pharmacy, they said that it needed prior authorization. So then I started calling Blue Cross and Blue Shield almost every single day for almost 2 months. And fighting for it. I had to have a pulmonary functions test, which costs thousands of dollars and isn't very fun. But once it got all shown that everything was normal and I'm normal and I don't smoke and I don't have any problems like that, I'm a good candidate for the medicine. And in September, they sent me a notification saying that the insulin was medically necessary and I could have it. So I finally filled my script and got to use it, and now I have A1c results that are blowing my mind because I don't think mine has ever been this low in 21 years.
Folks, diabetics, doctors, or anybody that's in the position to offer diabetic advice, you have to tell them about Afrezza. You have to pass these videos along, because as you notice, whoever I meet, Christy's the one that really wanted to do the video, and so did I, but I'm just so busy. I'm glad that she is a huge Afrezza advocate, and
Definitely.
She loves how fast it works. She loves the no needles.
No needles, and it's painless. It doesn't hurt.
I just felt bad because she had to fight, and with all this stuff. And why a diabetic has it bad already, right? We all know that. So why should we have to fight for better care of our diabetes? It's tough enough on all of us, okay? So now we have to jump through hurdles. We have to go through torture chambers of the lung function test, which I personally didn't have to go through. Mine was a much easier device, but she had to go through this.
I just sit in a glass box and blow in really, really, really hard into a tube. It was awful.
And a diabetic should not have to go through that. And then, with the insurance stuff, and I'm glad, Christy, that you put the energy forth, because I feel like a lot of you diabetics out there, you may have given up and you can't. Okay, you guys need this. You might not realize you need it, but when we're talking A1c results, the A1c results, you can't lie. You can't BS those. Okay? It's our report card, quarterly, what have you, whenever you get yours done. I mean, all of us, an 8.2 down to 6.5, there's no arguing that.
No, and an A1c is also a diabetic's worst fear when you go into the doctor. If your A1c is high, you're going to get yelled at because you're doing something wrong. But if your A1c is within those normal ranges, then you're good to go. You're not going to get screamed at by your doctor, and you're not going to have to go on new meds. And, Afrezza really is an answer to a lot of questions, especially people who don't want to use needles anymore. And even if you're on a pump, because we're both on pumps.
For our basal.
Our basal
you should have mentioned that. Sorry.
Yes, that's okay. Good. We're on insulin pumps for our basal rate. And when we want to eat something, all we have to do is take our insulin, load it in. This is the insulin. You load it in. You take a breath out. And you suck it in. And that's it.
And that's it. And it starts to work so much faster than the other insulins. Now, one thing and I come across this a lot, so I'm hoping that if you work for anybody that's associated with Afrezza, we would both appreciate a 2-unit. And I think I need to be more vocal about that because here's why, okay? Now, when my blood sugar, I was just telling Christy like today, not today, but a couple days ago, I had a blood sugar of 160. And, last year, 2 years ago, I was happy at 160. I was happy at 200.
Yep.
But I didn't realize that, long term, 40, 50 years, that does cause damage that I can't see in the inside of my body. So when I'm 160, I want to be still non-diabetic, meaning between 80 and 120.
Yeah.
So 4 units would be too much for me. So do I take 4 units and then force myself to drink or eat something? Or do I take a 2-unit? So, I'm just asking, I'm hoping someone can pass this video along. A 2-unit would also open up more people that are, I do speak to some diabetics and, they first say, well, 4 units is too much for me. And I explain, well, hey, listen, myself and many others, we're making the 4 units work. So because that was one thing that we both talked about earlier when she first came over today. And Christy and I both think that 2 units would be great. But other than that, people, diabetics, doctors, whoever is in a position to offer a diabetic advice, you have to tell them, don't ask for Afrezza, but you have to demand it. And like Christy did, you might have to fight for it. Okay?
Yeah, and don't give up that fight because it really is worth it. I'm promising you, it really is worth it. If you want to see A1c results, you really need to try this medicine.
It's just, well, I have nothing else on my notes. So, I mean, is there any last words? If there's anybody out there that is thinking about maybe prescribing Afrezza or maybe even trying Afrezza, how would what's your last words out there to the diabetic community?
Diabetic community, you need to try this insulin. You need to talk to your doctor. You need to get involved with your health care. You need to demand it when you go into your next office visit, because the more people get on it, the more people are going to realize how good it is for you, how much it can help lower your A1c and keep you in the range that you're supposed to be. Especially people who are trying to conceive. You want to have a good low blood sugars. People who are trying to stay healthy. It's so important to be healthy as you can be, especially when you're diabetic.
Yeah, and I never even thought about an A1c in the 6s or the 5s until this little thing. I mean, here we are sitting talking about we want A1c in the 5s, where 2 years ago, Christy and I probably would have been sitting there being, I want an A1c in the 7s.
7s would have been fine for me 2 years ago.
Or high 6s. And, we didn't realize that we needed a faster insulin. If you can treat a low blood sugar in a matter of minutes, you should be able to somehow treat a high blood sugar much quicker than what was out there. And it's now available, folks. Afrezza. All right. And like I always like to say, one small step for mankind, one giant step for all diabetics. Thank you, L-Man.
And L-Man, I trust Afrezza.
Yeah.
All right.